Magic and Mystery in Tibet by Alexandra David-Neel. Chapter 4, Dealing with Ghosts and Demons. The Enchanted Dagger. It is needless to say that tongues of the jumping corpse, if they exist at all, are exceptional implements of sorcery. The ritual weapons, called phurba, Phurba, generally used by Lamaist magicians, are made of bronze, wood, or even ivory, shaped to resemble a dagger and often beautifully chiseled or carved. The true initiate of the Tibetan secret lore, however, would scoff at the sorcerer and his repugnant practices. The power of the magic weapon does not, he thinks, depend on the substance of which it was made, but is communicated to it by the magician himself. Yet, as time goes on, a certain portion of this energy remains attached to the phurba. The strength increases with the repeated use which is made of it in magic rites. The inert object becomes possessed, just as an animated being would be. We shall read in the following chapter of a process employed by the Nagspas who hold this belief. On the other hand, it is said that the ritual implements which have served in coercion rites should not be kept in the house of the layman or of an uninitiated monk, for fear that the dangerous entities, subdued by their means, might use them to take revenge upon the possessor if he does not know how to protect himself. To that belief I owe a few interesting objects, which those who had inherited them begged me to carry away. One day a windfall of this kind came my way, so strangely that the story is worth telling. During a journey in northern Tibet, I met a small caravan of lamas, and talking with them, according to the custom along these trails where travelers are scarce, I learned that they were transporting a phurba, which had become a source of calamity. This ritualistic implement had belonged to a lama, their master, who had recently died. The dagger had started to work harm in the monastery itself. 2 of the 3 monks who had touched it had died, and the other had broken his leg by falling from a horse. Then the pole that held the banner of benediction, which was planted in the courtyard of the monastery, broke, and this is considered to be a very bad omen. Frightened, yet not daring to destroy the phurba for fear of even greater misfortunes, the monks had closed it up in a box. Soon after this, strange noises had been heard proceeding from the box. They had finally decided to place the baleful object in an isolated cavern consecrated to a deity, but the cowherds living in that region threatened armed opposition. They recalled the story of the phurba that had moved through the air, wounding and killing numbers of men and animals. No one knew where nor when these wonders had taken place, but such details are of little importance to superstitious minds. The cowherds did not want the phurba in their neighborhood. The unfortunate trapas who carried the enchanted dagger, wrapped in many papers, printed with charms and sealed in a casket, did not know how to get rid of it. Their dejected countenances prevented me from laughing at their credulity. I was also curious to look at the miraculous weapon. "Let me see the phurba," I said. "Perhaps I shall find a way of helping you." They did not dare take it out of the box, but after long parleys, they allowed me to do so myself. The phurba was a fine piece of ancient Tibetan art, and I was seized with a desire to possess it, but I knew that the trapas would not sell it for anything in the world. "Camp with us for the night," I said to them, "and leave the phurba with me. I will think it over." My words promised nothing but the bait of a good supper and of chatting with my men, decided with my men, decided the travelers to accept. At nightfall, I went some distance from the camp, ostensibly carrying the dagger, which, freed from its box, would have terrified the credulous Tibetans had I left it with them. When I thought I was far enough away, I stuck the enchanted weapon into the ground and sat down on a blanket to think of a way of persuading the monks to let me have it. I had been there for several hours when I seemed to see the form of a Lama approaching me near the spot where I had planted the furba. He moved forward, bending cautiously. From beneath the toga, in which his rather indistinct body was wrapped, a hand came out slowly and advanced to seize the magic dagger. Jumping up, I grabbed it before the thief had been able to touch it. So I have not been the only one tempted. This man, less superstitious than his companions, had recognized the value of the furpa and very likely hoped to sell it secretly. He thought that I was asleep and should notice nothing. The next day, the disappearance of the enchanted dagger would be attributed to some new occult intervention, and one more story of magic would be circulated among the faithful. Too bad that such a clever scheme had not succeeded. But I kept the enchanted weapon. I even grasped it so tightly that my nerves, excited by the adventure or by the pressure of the bronze-carved handle on my flesh, gave me the impression that the dagger was feebly moving in my hand. And now for the thief. All around me, the barren plain was empty. He must have made off when I was stooping down to pull the dagger out of the ground. I ran to the camp. The man who had just returned, or who came back after me, must be the culprit. I found everyone sitting up and reciting religious texts for protection against evil powers. I called Yongdun into my tent. "Which of the monks has been missing?" I asked him. "No one," he answered. "They are half dead with fright. They did not even go so far away from the tents as to perform the necessities of nature. I had to scold them." Good. I must have been seeing things, but perhaps this would stand me in good stead. "Listen," I said to the Trappas, "this is what has happened," and I told them quite frankly about my illusion and the doubts I had conceived of their honesty. "Surely that was our Grand Lama," they explained. "He wanted to take back the furpa, and perhaps he would have killed you if he had succeeded." "Oh, Jetsumna, you are a true Gomchema, although certain people would call you a filling, P-H-I-L-I-N-G, R Sawai Lama, T-S-A-W-A-I, Lama, in brackets, spiritual father, was a powerful magician, yet he could not take the furba away from you. Keep it now, keep it, and it will no longer do harm to anyone." They all spoke together, excited and terrified to think that their Lama, magician, more to be feared than ever since he belonged to another world, had passed so close to them, and delighted at the same time to get rid of the enchanted dagger. I shared in their joy, but for a different reason. The furba was mine. However, it was only honest not to take advantage of their confused state of mind. "Think it over," I said. "A shadow may have deceived me. I may have gone to sleep while sitting there and been troubled by a dream." They would have nothing of this. The Lama had come, I had seen him, and he had not been able to seize the furba. So I, by my superior power, became its legitimate owner. I confess that I allowed myself to be easily convinced.